something that felt almost impossible without him, qualifying for the World Cup for the first time since France 1998. But okay, his goals took Norway to the World Cup. The scary part? The goal beast did not stop there. At the World Cup, Haaland scored twice against Iraq, twice against Senegal, once against Ivory Coast, and then 2 goals against Brazil. He is now the joint top scorer of the World Cup alongside Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappé. But listen to this. This is his first World Cup, and he is already only 3 goals away from reaching half of Messi's entire World Cup total of 20 goals. That is not normal. This Viking is doing something outrageous. 27 goals in his last 14 matches for Norway, 62 goals in only 54 matches for the national team. He is already Norway's all-time top scorer, and the rhythm is almost impossible to understand.
Look at this guy, look at this loser. Look at this loser. Drinking water.
They complain when I order this, but when I score the goals, then they zip it up.
Erling Haaland's international scoring rate has no precedent. Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Mbappé look human next to this pace. Look at the comparison. Erling Haaland, 62 goals in 54 matches for Norway. Kylian Mbappé, 63 goals in 103 matches for France. Do you understand the difference in games? Of course, Mbappé has scored many of his goals on the biggest stages, World Cup knockouts, finals, historic nights. Haaland is only starting to write that part of his story, but the numbers are still insane. Not even Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo can claim an international goals per game ratio like this. And because of Haaland, Norway are now the dark horse of the 2026 World Cup. They eliminated Brazil, the 5-time world champions, one of the eternal favourites, to reach the quarter-finals of a World Cup for the first time in their history. That means Norway have already achieved their greatest ever World Cup campaign. And with 4 victories in this tournament, they now have more World Cup wins in 2026 than they had in their entire previous history in the competition. That is the Haaland effect. He did not just score goals, he changed Norway's ceiling. He changed what this team believes is possible. He changed what the rest of the world thinks when they see Norway on the fixture list. Because as long as Erling Haaland is on the pitch, Norway is not just a nice story. They are a threat, a real one. So yes, let Haaland keep beating the drums, because the 2026 World Cup might belong to him. To understand why Erling Haaland looks so terrifying at this World Cup, you have to understand that this is not a sudden explosion. This has been building for years. Even though he is still a striker born in the 2000s generation, Haaland has already written his name into the record books of the biggest competitions in European football. The Manchester City striker has already passed 359 goals in his professional career, and the scariest part is that it still feels like he is just getting started. 20 of those goals came with Molde in Norway, where one match changed everything. Against SK Brann, Haaland announced himself to his country. Brann arrived as unbeaten league leaders, with the best defence in the competition, and Haaland destroyed them. 4 goals in the first 21 minutes, a 4-0 win, and suddenly international scouts were watching. With Molde, he also had his first taste of European football in the UEFA Europa League qualifying rounds, scoring 4 goals in 5 matches during the summer of 2018. Then came Red Bull Salzburg, and then came 29 more goals. In the 2019-20 campaign, Haaland became a domestic monster for Salzburg. He scored 5 hat-tricks. But the real explosion came in the Champions League. On his Champions League debut against Genk, he scored a first-half hat-trick in a 6-2 win, becoming the first teenager ever to score a first-half hat-trick on his debut in the competition. Then he did something even crazier. He became the first teenager to score in each of his first 5 consecutive Champions League matches, finding the net against Genk, Liverpool, at Anfield and Napoli. He finished that group stage with 8 goals and 1 assist in just 6 matches. That was the moment Europe understood this was not hype, this was a phenomenon. And that form accelerated the release clause that sent him to Borussia Dortmund, where he scored 86 goals and gave German football a nightmare it had not seen before. His debut was absurd. He came off the bench against Augsburg and scored a hat-trick in just 23 minutes. Then he kept going, becoming the first player in Bundesliga history to score 7 goals in his first 3 matches and 9 goals in his first 6. He became the youngest player to reach 50 Bundesliga goals, doing it at just 21 years old and in only 50 matches. And at only 20 years old, he finished as the top scorer in the Champions League, with 10 goals in 8 matches. With Dortmund, his biggest collective achievement came in the DFB Pokal. Dortmund beat RB Leipzig 4-1 in the final, and Haaland was the main man, scoring twice. But beyond the trophy, he gave Dortmund nights that felt historic. Against PSG in his first major European night with BVB, Haaland physically dominated the Paris defence and scored both goals in the win. His second goal became one of those strikes the football world never forgets. A brutal shot from outside the box into the top corner, leaving Keylor Navas with no chance. Then came his demolition of Sevilla at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. That was a counter-attacking masterclass. Haaland assisted Mahmoud Dahoud for the temporary equaliser, then scored twice before half-time with pure power to put Dortmund in control away from home. And in the second leg in Germany, he scored 2 more, a complete domination of the Spanish side. Against Eintracht Frankfurt, he scored 2 goals, yes, but he also assisted in the other 3 goals from his teammates, showing maturity with his back to goal, better distribution, and a deeper understanding of how to connect play. That version of Haaland made Pep Guardiola obsessed, and then Manchester City happened.
Happy, Will? Yeah. So in 3, 2, 1.
Since arriving in Manchester, Haaland has scored 162 goals for City and completely broken the structure of English football. His impact was immediate. He did not just help Pep Guardiola's team continue their dominance, he destroyed individual records that had stood for decades. In his first season in England, Haaland became the key piece of City's treble-winning side, Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League in the same year, matching the historic achievement of Manchester United in 1999. And from the first match, he looked like something out of a video game. 2 goals on his Premier League debut, one of them after a devastating sprint that made defenders look like shadows. Then came 9 goals in his first 5 games, including back-to-back hat-tricks against Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest, something never done before in Premier League history. He finished with 36 league goals, smashing the all-time Premier League record of 34 set by Alan Shearer and Andy Cole. Across all competitions, he scored 52 goals in 53 matches. Guardiola called him a gift for football, and Haaland returned the praise by saying, "Pep is the best coach in the world. He made me even better." But what truly defined his first season was not just the trophies, it was the amount of records he shattered. He became the fastest player ever to reach 10, 20 and 25 Premier League goals, doing it in 6, 14 and 19 matches. He recorded 6 hat-tricks in a single campaign, as many as every other Premier League player combined. He scored in each of his first 4 away games. He became the first player ever to score a hat-trick in 3 consecutive home matches, including that mythical hat-trick against Manchester United at the Etihad. At home, he was unstoppable. 22 goals at the Etihad, the most by any player in a single Premier League season. He also became the fastest player under Pep Guardiola to reach 25 goals, doing it in only 20 appearances. And in Europe, he was just as ruthless. 12 goals in 11 Champions League matches, including that absurd 5-goal demolition of RB Leipzig, making him only the 3rd player after Lionel Messi and Luis Adriano to score 5 in a single Champions League match. He reached 30 Champions League goals faster and younger than anyone before him. Every week, every stadium, every defender, it did not matter. Haaland was not just scoring goals, he was rewriting what a striker could be. By the end of the season, he had the best goal per minute ratio in Premier League history, scoring once every 77 minutes. And Manchester City had completed the greatest season in their history. And if his first year in England was a storm, the second was a controlled hurricane. Haaland won his 2nd consecutive Premier League Golden Boot, becoming the first player in history to win it in back-to-back seasons. He finished the league campaign with 27 goals and led Manchester City to an unprecedented 4th consecutive Premier League title, something no club had ever achieved in English football. Across all competitions, he added 6 goals in the Champions League and 5 more in the FA Cup, completing another 38-goal campaign. For most strikers, that would be the peak of a career. For Haaland, it was routine. And yes, the hat-tricks kept coming. 3 more that season, including a devastating one against Wolves, another against West Ham,
They've lost the ball and Haaland's in the penalty area.
And that 5-goal destruction of Luton Town just because he could. At the start of next campaign, he broke another record, the most goals scored in a team's first 4 Premier League matches. With 9 goals in 4 games, he surpassed Wayne Rooney's old mark of 8 from 2011 to 12. By the time City beat Brentford 2-1, Haaland had already scored more goals than 18 Premier League clubs combined. He scored 34 goals in 48 appearances. And Haaland did all of that while maintaining the same work rate and pressing intensity that defined Guardiola's system, something many once believed would be impossible for a player with his size and profile. That season also marked his 100th match for Manchester City. And of course, he celebrated it the Haaland way by scoring against Chelsea on August 18th, 2024. A month later, against Arsenal, he reached another absurd milestone, 100 goals for City in just 105 matches, matching one of the fastest scoring rates ever seen in modern football, and he still did not stop. In his first 3 league games of the season, he scored 7 goals, surpassing Edin Dzeko's record of 6. He did it with 2 hat-tricks in 3 games, something no player had achieved since Paul Jewell in 1994-95. By the end of August, his hat-trick against West Ham put him level with Harry Kane as the active player with the most hat-tricks in Premier League history. In just 3 years in England, Erling Haaland became more than a striker, he became a system, a symbol, a nightmare for every defence on the planet. And now he is no longer just scoring history, he is shaping it. Because if his first years in club football were already legendary, what he is doing now with Norway and at this World Cup is on another level entirely. Goals are Haaland's currency, and in that sense his value is undeniable. He is simply the safest bet in world football when it comes to putting the ball in the net. And at this World Cup, he is not just scoring, he is making history. The question everyone keeps asking is simple: how can he be this good? As we said at the beginning, Haaland has scored in each of his last 14 official matches for Norway, including 7 goals in 4 matches at his first World Cup, the winner against Ivory Coast, and the 2 goals in that historic knockout victory against Brazil. The overall numbers are absurd: 62 goals in 54 matches for Norway. To put that into perspective, that is the best goals per game ratio of any player who has scored 50 or more goals for his national team in the last century. Need more context? Haaland reached 60 international goals 69 matches faster than Lionel Messi and 76 matches faster than Cristiano Ronaldo. But this is not just about the goals, it is about the way he scores them. Haaland does not dribble through 3 players. He does not need step-overs. He does not lower the shoulder to create half a yard before shooting. A rubber band? He would probably use it to tie his hair. Haaland does not move the ball away from his feet to manufacture space. Most of the time he barely touches it. He simply pulls the trigger. Of his 7 World Cup goals, 6 have been first-time finishes, and the other came with just 2 touches. In fact, 15 of his 16 recorded shots across the matches against Iraq, Senegal, Ivory Coast and Brazil were first-time attempts on goal. Call it economy, call it efficiency, call it instinct, call it ruthlessness, call it simplicity, call it whatever you want. Erling Haaland is the most natural-born goal scorer of his generation. Whether he is playing for Manchester City or for a country with fewer than 6 million people, that does not change. For anyone watching Haaland for the first time, the experience must be strange, because there are moments when it looks like everything that is not scoring a goal is almost irrelevant to him. For long stretches, Haaland can seem disconnected from the match. He drifts in front of the defensive line, far enough away to avoid being trapped offside or pinned by defenders, ready to take part from deeper areas before suddenly exploding behind the backline. And even inside the penalty area, there are moments when it looks like he does not want the ball, until in 1 second he appears. 1 movement, 1 finish, goal. But do not be fooled, Haaland is a genius. Like every elite striker, he is constantly analysing how to beat the opponent. But with him, everything is connected. The ball, the space, the defenders and the teammates creating the chance. And Haaland might be the best in the world at reading those 4 elements together to create the tiny breath of space needed to score huge goals. Just look at his World Cup goals. On his first goal, watch how Haaland floats into the box while Antonio Nusa has the ball. He is calm, almost passive, but the moment Nusa opens the ball wide to Müller-Wolf, Haaland's rhythm changes completely. He explodes with inhuman speed, gains half a metre on his double marker, and the defenders can only watch him pass. His second goal at the World Cup was pure instinct, something you cannot teach. Haaland smelled blood. He never stopped chasing the ball. He sensed the goalkeeper's mistake before everyone else, hunted it down and scored his second. Then came his first goal against Senegal. Watch the positioning. Norway counter-attack through Ødegaard, and Haaland waits. He does not sprint too early. He does not waste the run. He waits for the first centre-back to drop and close Ødegaard's lane. The moment a tiny gap opens on the left side of the box, Haaland changes rhythm with brutal power, attacks the defender's back, receives the pass into space, and finishes first time. That is not just pace, that is timing. Unfortunately for almost every goalkeeper and defender in the world, Haaland has superior football intelligence. He is exceptional at reading where the space will be before the defense even understands it, and his finishing solutions are unique. His second goal against Senegal proved it. He was alone near the penalty spot, surrounded by 4 Senegalese players. Berg's pass was not even perfect. The trajectory was uncomfortable, but Haaland adjusted his body with ridiculous control, made a small hip rotation, and finished with the inside of his foot. A high-level technical goal. Against Ivory Coast, the goal was different. Patrick Berg's run and cross dragged 3 Ivorian defenders towards the ball, leaving Haaland with so much space that he could afford an imperfect finish and still score the winner. In that match, Haaland touched the ball only 5 times inside the opponent's box and still scored. That is the whole point. He does not need to appear all the time, he only needs one chance. And it becomes a goal. Then came Brazil. And against Brazil, he showed another level of centre-forward play. Across the whole match, Haaland had 30 touches, the same as Alexander Sørloth, who was substituted at half-time because of his lack of impact. But these numbers are relative because what Haaland did with his touches was terrifying. His 2 goals were pure genius. On the first one, Haaland is walking, almost jogging like he is on the beach. He does not waste energy fighting Gabriel Magalhaes too early. He does not get involved in an unnecessary physical battle before the moment arrives. Gabriel relaxes for half a second. Huge mistake. The moment Schjelderup touches the ball, Haaland activates. His whole body changes direction. His inertia shifts towards the pass. And by the time Gabriel reacts, it is already too late. Haaland dominates attacking timing with ridiculous excellence. And if that surprised you, the second goal was even more genius. When Haaland receives the ball, he looks completely calm, standing tall, relaxed, almost still. That posture confuses the 2 Brazilian centre-backs, because Haaland does not announce how he is going to destroy you, he just destroys you. By the time they react, he has already changed rhythm, changed body shape and set his shooting posture. In 1 second, he creates the angle and unleashes a rocket that almost tears through the net. That is why the numbers are so insane. Erling Haaland has scored with 7.25% of his touches at the 2026 World Cup. Among players with at least 60 touches at a single World Cup since 1966, no player has scored with a higher proportion. This is not a normal striker. This is the best striker in the world. And this World Cup is not just proving that Haaland is the best number 9 on the planet. It might be proving that he is the best player in the world.